Matimba is an organization that works within South Africa that specifically works with trans youth and gender diverse youth. Hi, my name is Akani Shimange. My pronouns are they and them.
My name is Sandisile Dlamini and my pronouns are she and her.
Hi, my name's Noam Lubinsky and my pronouns are he, they. Transgender is anyone who does not consent to the gender that they were assigned to at birth. Sexual orientation speaks to the gender identities of the people that someone is attracted to, and sex or sex characteristics are the things that doctors use to define whether someone is male, female, or intersex at birth.
Gender identity speaks to kind of this innate felt sense of self, this innate felt sense of being male or female. It is an internal and deeply felt thing. Whereas gender expression, it speaks to how we express our gender, whether male, female, or non-binary.
The idea that cisgender is the normal and that all trans and non-binary people aspire to be seen as cisgender. Genders that do not fit neatly into the boxes that have been seen as the normal versions of gender, which are male or female. Gender diverse people can be both, none, above, beyond, and just not recognize gender as a concept. The recognition of someone's gender legally for administrative purposes that allows you to amend or have the reflection of your correct gender in legal documentation. So in the undertaking of this research, the whole aim was a recommendation of what Act 49, the amended versions of Act 49 should look like.
So Act 49 was created in 2003, and at that time the transgender activists that were pushing the government to make better legislation for legal gender recognition saw it very much as a stopgap. So essentially what we've had now for 18 years is a law that was only supposed to be there until a better law was created. Some of the issues within this law, for example, are the ways that it speaks about intersex people, in that it speaks both to a natural change of secondary sexual characteristics, as well as a separate category of being able to change if intersex, meaning that there is confusion as to where and how intersex people fit into the law. Further than that, it still requires someone to have been on hormone replacement therapy in order to access the law, meaning that there is a form of medical gatekeeping. There's also a form of social gatekeeping in the form that you require a document either from a spiritual advisor or from a doctor that restates your gender identity. Outside of the issues within the law itself, perhaps the largest issue is that the Department of Home Affairs has never truly briefed the people that work there on how to implement this legislation. What this means is that when you go to the Department of Home Affairs to try and change your gender markers, there can be a variety of different results that you get, depending essentially on where you go and who you get on that day. Those kinds of results can mean that you wait between a year and even 7 years to get a new ID. It can mean that you face outright bigotry, or it can mean that you are asked for documents that should not be required by the law. For example, you may be asked for evidence that you have had gender-affirming surgery, despite the fact that the law does not require someone to have surgery in order to access a new ID.
The problem with the binary system is that it puts people in only 2 boxes, whereas the fact that we don't have a third option does not allow people who do not identify as male or female, people who are non-binary, to kind of self-identify, and it creates kind of a limit to the extent of how oneself can define themselves. Not having the correct legal gender marker as a trans person does not allow you the ease of movement in certain spaces, such as school. Schools are very binary, so if you don't have the legal gender marker that identifies you, simple things like going to the bathroom are a problem. Simple things like playing sports in high school become a problem. A lot of binaries in the system which do not allow trans youth to kind of be fully themselves in spaces. Not being able to kind of identify with your with the gender that you self-identify as kind of creates barriers into accessing a lot of things such as medical care, health care, even a simple task as just going to report something or to just applying for a job, applying for school. The binary system does that. Even the findings have kind of shown that parents and children of trans people and non-binary people agree that self-identification is the best option.
Currently, as it sits, it does not explicitly name how minors can access their rights to legal gender recognition. So we do propose that minors are explicitly named. An awareness project is done by the Department of Home Affairs with not just their employees, but with the general public. We propose that Home Affairs fully trains every Home Affairs office and puts policies into place on how legal gender recognition can be accessed by transgender individuals. We also propose that it is not medicalized, because Act 49, as it sits right now, gives the medical fraternity hegemony over trans identities, fully requires us to either medically or surgically transition, which is not the standard of transness.
The reason that this is important is that having an ID with your correct gender marker allows you to walk through the world without having to explain yourself for every interaction that requires legal documentation, be this donating blood or applying for an interview or being stopped by the cops while driving.
Trans people should be allowed to self-identify. They should access legal gender recognition by other forms that do not include them being vetted against cisgender bodies. And our identities should not be only limited to identifying as male or female. It is everybody's human right to have legal documents that fully represent who they are in the world.